Hey guys! Welcome to Polish Your English with Pau. My name is Paulina, and in this grammar video we are going to learn how to use the present tenses. It's a good idea to compare and contrast the present simple and continuous to understand them better. That's why in this video we'll have a look at when we use the present simple and continuous, how we make sentences in the present simple, and how we make sentences in the present continuous, and finally we'll have a look at action and state verbs. So, let's do it! When do we use the present simple and the present continuous? Look at what the woman says and match the sentences in bold to the uses. We use the present simple for permanent states. For example, I live in Lisbon. Whereas we use the present continuous tense for temporary states. I'm staying with a friend in the countryside. We also use the present continuous tense for actions happening now or around now. I am repainting my apartment. Finally, we use the present simple tense for habits and repeated actions. I usually visit my parents in London every 3 months. Look at the timelines to help you. You see? The timeline for present simple shows us that something happens regularly, whereas the timeline for the present continuous shows us that something is happening right now, as we are speaking. Now, how do we make sentences using these two tenses? Using the verb live in all the examples, complete the gaps in the tables. If you want to think about it a little bit, pause the video. Otherwise, I'm going to show you the answers now. Have a look as well at the short answers in the present simple and the present continuous. In the third person we add s, es or ies to the verb. Be careful with the spelling changes. This is the infinitive of the verb without to. We always use the infinitive after do, does, and don't and doesn't. Be careful with the spelling of the ing form. The present continuous follows the pattern verb to be plus ing. We know that in the positive, in the third person, we add s, es or ies in the present simple. But when do we add s, es or ies? It depends on the spelling of the verb look. We add s to the verbs. For example, drive, drives, work, works. We add es with verbs ending in o, s, ch, sh, and x. For example, do, does, catch, catches. And finally, we change y to ies when the verb ends in a consonant plus y. You see, in cry, we got consonant and y, cry, cries. And the same happens with fly. Fly, flies. Let's have a look at action and state verbs. Look at what the boy says. This sentence talks about a temporary action, one that is changing But notice that it is in the present simple, not continuous. This is because have in this context is a state, not an action verb. We do not use state verbs in continuous structures. They are always in simple tenses. We can also use time expressions to describe actions happening now or around now with state verbs in the present simple. Some verbs can be state verbs or action verbs, depending on the context. For example, I was thinking about Laura when she walked in. Think here is an action verb. You can imagine the speaker's brain working. However, I think he's German. In this case, think is a state verb, here meaning the same as believe. And now, it's time to practice. Use the correct form of the verbs in brackets to complete the gaps. Justify your choices. Let's do the first example together. I usually, banana, take away for dinner in the evenings, but at the moment, I banana more. I usually get takeaway for dinner in the evenings, but at the moment I am cooking more. In the first part, we use the present simple because it's an action that happens regularly. I usually. However, in the second part of the sentence, it is happening at the moment. And if something is happening at the moment, we use the present continuous tense. I am cooking more. Now think about sentences 2 to 8. You can pause the video now if you want to think about them. And in 5 seconds I'm going to show you the answers. Alright, Sophia and Frederick aren't traveling anymore. I saw them yesterday at the gym. This is something happening now. They are not traveling. Liz doesn't have a lot of work at the moment, so she is looking for other ways to spend her time. You see, it feels like saying isn't having a lot of work at the moment, but remember, have is a state verb. We cannot use it with the present continuous. That's why we say Liz doesn't have. The second part is happening right now, so that's why we use the present continuous. What does your sister do for work? Does she work in fashion? We're talking about a permanent state. That's why we use the present simple here. Are you performing at the moment? No, I'm taking a break for a couple of months. Both these actions are happening now. My sister cries all the time. In fact, she is crying now. Here we've got the same verb, 2 different tenses. As she regularly cries, she does it regularly. That's why we use the present simple in the first part. And now, right now, she's crying. That's why in the second sentence we use the present continuous. Do your parents live on the same street as you? No, they don't. Living is a permanent action. That's why we use the present simple here. And finally, Ted doesn't like meat. He usually orders vegetarian options when we go out. So this is something that happens all the time. A permanent state he doesn't like, and that's what he usually does. And that's everything for today. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you would like to find out more about the present simple and the present continuous tense, have a look at the grammar file at the end of the book. Please, if you have any questions, ask me in class or leave your questions in the comments and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. I'll see you in class. Bye!